Om Gam Ganapatye Namaha. Kaliyugada Kalpataru, the fifth delight. Shri Raghavendra Guru Sarvabhouma. Chapter 29. Venkatanatha's Upanayana ceremony. As decided by Lakshminarayanacharya, Venkatanatha Devi, and their mother Gopamma, Gururaja Acharya began preparations to conduct the Upanayana, that is sacred ceremony of Venkatanatha, with grandeur. The house was adorned with fresh lime wash and colorful decorations. A large green canopy was erected at the front, beautifully decorated with mango leaves, toranas, and banana stems. Venkatanamba and Kamaladevi meticulously managed all arrangements. Upon learning of the ceremony, relatives, family friends, and well-wishers gathered in Kaveripattanam to participate. On the auspicious Vaishakha Shukla Chaturthi, the family commenced the event with the worship of their Kuladevata, that is family deity, Lord Srinivasa. Conducted with great splendor, Gururaja Acharya along with Venkatanatha took a ceremonial bath and sat on a green mat. Under the supervision and guidance of senior family members Ramachandra Acharya, Narsimhacharya, Ananda Tirthacharya, and Lakshmi Narayanacharya, Gururaja Acharya performed the Punyavachana, that is purification ritual, Nandi Shraddha, Kuladevata Puja, Navagraha Puja, and Havan as per the traditional customs of the Pashchika lineage, and assisted by priests. By midday, offerings were made to the deity, and flowers and betel leaves were distributed. Gururaja Acharya hosted a grand feast for all the assembled Brahmins and women, offering them generous gifts, dakshinas, and betel leaf, which delighted the guests. Later, Vedic scholars blessed young Venkatanatha with auspicious Vedic mantra. On the morning of Vaishakha Shukla Panchami of the Shubhakrit Samvatsara, that is year 1525 of the Shalivana Shaka calendar, the auspicious ceremony began with the sound of Mangala instruments. After applying oil and performing the Mangala Snana, that is ceremonial bath, Gururaja Acharya and his wife dressed Venkatanatha in turmeric-colored kaupina, that is loin cloth, and fresh, clean garments. They seated him on a green mat to their right and proceeded with the Upanayana rituals in strict accordance with Vedic tradition. First, Venkatanatha was guided to perform Achamana, that is ritual sipping of water, and Sankalpa, that is ritual intent, without chanting any mantras. Kamala Devi, acting as a maternal figure, had Venkatanatha offered Dakshina, that is ritual gifts, to the Brahmins. Then the young initiate underwent a purification ritual and was instructed to recite the mantra Nama Sadesi, followed by Ashase Anugraha, bowing respectfully to the assembly. A three-stranded sacred thread was presented, and while chanting the mantra Navo Navo, Gururaja Acharya and Kamala Devi held it in their hands and placed it on Venkatanatha, completing the ritual with an Achamana. After the Yagnopavita, that is sacred thread ceremony, and Devata Puja, the thread and sandalwood paste were distributed to the Brahmins. The sacred thread Venkatanatha wore was touched by the Brahmins and held by Gururaja Acharya and his wife as they chanted the mantra Yagnopavitam Paramam Pavitram, draping it on Venkatanatha. The ceremony concluded with auspicious arti performed by the married women. Following this, Venkatanatha joined other young boys for the traditional Matubhojana, that is ritual meal fed by the mother. Gururaja Acharya personally guided Venkatanatha in performing the Prokshana, that is sprinkling of water, Parishchena, that is ritual cleansing, and Aposnana, that is drinking of purified water rites. He then ensured Venkatanatha had a meal without salt or spices, symbolizing purity, and concluded with the Uttaraposhana ritual. Later, as a part of the Chaula Samskara, that is tonsure ceremony, Venkatanatha's hair was ritually shaved, leaving the traditional shika, that is tuft of hair. After a ceremonial bath, he donned the kaupina, that is loin cloth, and urdhrapundava, that is vertical mark on the forehead, appearing resplendent. Gururaja Acharya seated his brother on a dharba asana, that is seat of sacred gas, and had married women bring the sacred fire with the mantra Ayurda Deva Jara Sangrinanu, Venkatanatha offered a samidha, that is, wooden offering, into the fire. The ritual concluded with Venkatanatha standing on a grinding stone placed to the north of the fire as the mantra was recited. He circumambulated the fire under the guidance of Guru Raja Acharya, who then sprinkled water on him while reciting Revatishta and clothed him in a yellow garment. With the mantra Paridram Vaso, Venkatanatha donned the sacred thread and Layam Duratta was chanted as the Maunji Mekhalas, that is sacred girdle, were tied around his waist. Using the mantra Mitrasya Chakshushu, a Krishnanjana, that is deer skin piece, was tied to the sacred thread. While the mantra Agantara, Venkatanatha circumambulated the fire again and stood facing west. Guru Raja Acharya, holding the pot of water, recited Samudra Dhurmi and poured the water into Venkatanatha's cupped hands as a part of Argya Pradhana, that is water offering. This water was then sprinkled 3 times over his head, and while the priest chanted protective mantras for fire, Soma, and other 11 deities, Venkatanatha performed the Hasta Pradarshana, that is hand display, to the sacred fire, signifying the culmination of the Upanayana rituals. After that, holding a curtain for privacy and reciting the Mangalashtaka, Guru Raja Acharya embraced Venkatanatha and seated him on the ceremonial seat. Facing east, he placed his right hand on Venkatanatha's right shoulder and chanted the mantra Supraja Prajaya Bhuyasam, while Venkatanatha, as instructed by the priest, recited Brahmacharyam Agam. Following this, Guru Raja Acharya held Venkatanatha's right hand and asked, Namasi. Venkatanatha replied, Yagna Sharma Namasi. Then, when Guru Raja asked, Kshaya Brahmacharyasi, Venkatanatha answered, Pranayasya Brahmacharyam, signifying his spiritual vow. Next, Venkatanatha recited the mantra Adhanam Adapate and was seated facing the sacred fire. As the mantra Yoge Yogetavastaram were chanted, he offered ghee into the fire 9 times as a part of the Homa, that is sacred fire offerings. A special Jayadi Homa consisting of 58 mantras beginning with Chittam Cha Swaha, Chittakidam Na Mamaha was conducted to ensure the prosperity of the ritual. After performing pranayam, that is breath control, and avignata, prayashchita homa, atonement for unknown errors, was also performed. A dharba, sacred grass cushion, was placed under Venkatanatha for seating, and the mantra Rashtra Bhadasya Acharya was chanted. Afterwards, Venkatanatha rose and performed Pada Puja, that is feet worship, for his mother Gopamma, Guru Raja Acharya, his wife Kamala Devi, and other elders and relatives. He then folded his hands in supplication and requested his brother Savitrim Bhavo Anubhravi to initiate him into the sacred knowledge. With the elders' consent, Guru Raja Acharya seated Venkatanatha on his right thigh and, following approval from the assembly, covered both of them with a sacred cloth to signify the sanctity of the occasion. He then initiated with Brahmopadesha the sacred teachings of divine mantras. First, Guru Raja instructed Venkatanatha in the Gayatri Dhyana Slokam. He then taught him the Gayatri mantra in segments, that is Pada, part by part, Ardha, half, and Purna, full recitation. Om Bhur Bhuvaswaha Tatsavitro Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Diyo Yona Prachodayat. Additionally, Guru Raja imparted the Ashtakshara mantra of Sri Narayana and the Guru mantra, completing the sacred initiation. Afterwards, Venkatanatha recited the mantra Avridimasau, touching his lips for purification, performing Achamana, that is, ritual sipping of water, and touched his ears with his hands. He then recited the mantra Brahmana Anishta, held the Palashadhanda, that is sacred staff, and began chanting Shukram Chame Samruta Chame, continuing up to Sarvavrato Bhuyasam as instructed by Guru Raja Acharya. After offering his oblation, he recited the mantra Devasyatva Savitu and bowed to his elders brother. Guru Raja Acharya then chanted Udayasha and lifted Venkatanatha up, embracing him and blessing him, saying, O Vatu, celebrate student, may you excel in Vedic studies, scriptural learning and interpretative explanations. Next, Guru Raja Acharya taught Venkatanatha the procedure of Samida Dhana, that is firewood offering, and Agnikarya, that is fire rituals, were performed. Venkatanatha then recited the mantra starting from Yatte Aste Tejastayana Aham Tejasvi Bhuyasam, continuing to Maisuro and completing the ritual. He moved to the northern side of the sacred fire, received protection, that is Raksha, and invoked the mantra Manastoke, chanting blessings while anointing Raksha, protecting marks on his forehead and other parts of the body. He prayed to the fire deity with the mantra Swasti Shraddha Medham, and touching his ears with both hands proclaimed, May there be prosperity and well-being for all beings, including the sacred cows and Brahmins. Extending to the four seas, I, Venkatanatha Sharma, a follower of the Gautama Gotra belonging to the lineage of Angirasa, Ayasya and Gautama sages, and a student of the Apastamba Sutra and the Yajur Veda, offer my respectful salutations. Subsequently, Guru Raja Acharya formally administered the Brahmacharya discipline with the sixfold interpretation of its responsibilities. Following this, Venkatanatha received Matrubhiksha, that is sacred begging, from his mother, Gopama, and his sister-in-law, Kamala Devi, by reciting Bhavati Bhiksham Dehi. After offering Phalapuja, that is fruit worship, Guru Raja Acharya and Venkatanatha presented sandalwood paste, garlands, fruits, betel leaves, and dakshina, that is offerings to Sri Narsimhacharya, the representative of the Srimata, accompanied by Vedic mantra Na Karmana and the recitation of the Srimat's titles and the Guru's name. They received blessings in return. Finally, fruit, betel leaves, and dakshina were distributed to the Brahmins and married women, that is Sumangalis, present, marking the completion of the ceremony. At that time, Narsimhacharya presented the gifts and sacred offerings sent by the two Gurus to Guru Raja Acharya, his wife, and Venkatanatha, blessing them. Subsequently, numerous relatives, friends, and well-wishers also offered their gifts. Following the traditions of the Yajurveda, Guru Raja Acharya taught Venkatanatha the Madhyanika Sandhya, that is midday prayer, and guided him through its practice. Later, a grand feast was arranged before the Brahmins gathered for the meal. Venkatanatha approached 5 of them and respectfully requested alms with the phrase Bhavan Bhikshan Dadatu, and accepted their offerings. After the feast and receiving blessings from the Brahmins, Guru Raja Acharya and others joined the meal. During this time, Acharya explained the procedure of Praksheshana, that is purification ritual, Chitravati offering, and Pranahuti, that is life force offering, to his younger brother. The meal concluded with all participants satisfied. In the evening, Venkatanatha was taught the evening Sandhya Vandana and Agnikarya, that is fire rituals, which he performed with diligence. Now officially authorized to begin his Vedic studies, Venkatanatha participated in the evening Aratikshate ceremony, which was concluded with great grandeur. Thus the Upanayana, sacred Tet ceremony of Venkatanatha, was successfully completed as per the Vedic traditions. After the celebrations ended, Lakshmi Naranacharya, Ramachandracharya, Gopamma, Guru Raja Acharya, and Venkatanatha sat together, engaging in delightful discussions about Guru Raja's advanced studies and Venkatanatha's future Gurukula's residence. Following consultations and based on Lakshmi Naranacharya's and Ramachandracharya's advice, as well as the directees of Sri Vijayendra Tirtha Guruguru, it was decided that 1. Venkatanatha would reside in Madurai under the care of his elder sister and her husband, Lakshmi Naranacharya, and pursue his studies at the Vidyapeta, that is Learning Center. Guru Raja Acharya and his wife would remain at Kumbakonam with their mother, Gopama, under the guidance of the Srimata, studying advanced subjects like Nyaya, logic, Mimamsa, and Vedanta. Lakshmi Naranacharya assured them, saying, by the grace of Sri Hari, Vayu, and the Gurus, and with the blessings, I currently serve as the chief scholar of the Royal Court in Madurai and head the Vidyapita's department for Nyaya and Vedanta. I will personally ensure Venkatanatha's education and transform him into a great scholar. Do not worry about his future. Guru Raja, meanwhile, you should study deeply under Shri Sudhendra Tirtharu, earn the title of a great scholar, and bring glory as the court scholar and teacher at the Vidyapita. Once Venkatanatha completes his education, all of you can reunite and live happily. Gopama, addressing her sons, said, our revered Gurus are the well-wishers and protectors of our lineage. Follow their guidance and the counsel of your brother-in-law for your development and progress. With everything settled, Ramachandra Acharya promised to convey these decisions to the Gurus at Kumbakonam and departed for the Matha. In an auspicious moment, Lakshmi Naranacharya, along with Venkatamba and Venkatanatha, began their journey to Madurai. Before their departure, Guru Raja Acharya handed over their father's veena, that is musical instrument, to Venkatanatha, advising him never to abandon his veena practice. After escorting them to the outskirts of the village, the family bid a heartfelt farewell. Guru Raja Acharya returned home content and at peace. Hari Om. Om Sri Krishnarpanamastu. Mantrahina, Kriyahina, Bhaktihina Janardana. Yatkritanta Mahadeva Paripurnam Tadastume.